Watch out and welcome back to Delboy's Garage. Right, this is going to be part 13, lucky for some, of Project Bandit. It's moving along nicely. The black is pretty cool, but it's not the right finish. It's turned out satin. I'll come back to that in a minute. That's got to be dealt with. We've been shopping today. We've bought some stuff at my favourite surplus store. Haven't been up there for ages, so it's good, well worth a visit. It's Sunday morning. We wanted to get some shopping done, get some materials for the project. As anybody who knows who's done a project, they eat materials like you wouldn't believe. And part of that materials thing was scoring the steel for the frame panel or the rear tail panel. Talked a lot in the comments box about the tail panel, about fabricating this tail panel for the framework that I've produced. And I'm going to need materials for it. And I was shopping online, looking on eBay for raw material for the steel that I'm going to need for the frame for it. The 3/16 and 1/4 inch steel I'm going to need for it, and to be quite honest, it is so expensive. It's not true. You wouldn't believe. I'll show you in a minute. It's absolutely astonishingly expensive to buy ordinary steel from a stockholder. They just want ridiculous money unless you're buying it by the metric ton, and we only need a few lengths of steel. So we scored an amazing one this morning, and I'll tell you all about that. So stick around, stay tuned. This is going to be just a little final paint over to get rid of the shiny on the back end and block a couple of runs and so on. So there we go. Let's go. Right, shopping. There's a surplus store in Ringwood up in Hampshire, which JJ's, which I've used for ages, ever since I had a business there, and they sell just about everything from tools to garden equipment to kitchen stuff, everything. They're brilliant and their prices are great. So I've got some Stanley blades. I'll show you why I need them in a minute. Best of all, I got some matte black, not to be confused with this. Now, the problem was, take a look at this. This is the finish on the trellis. That is satin black. I don't care what anyone says. That's matte black. That's matte black. That's satin black. Now, the reason that I don't want it, this is just, what did Penny call it?
Ponzi Car Shop.
Ponzi Car Shop satin black. It says matte black on the tin.
It's not.
Matte black. That's about as matte black as goodness knows what. It's not. So I've used it all up for material purposes, just to get loads of material on there to make a nice thick top coat. And that stuff as well is £7 a tin. Loads of money. That's about the average going rate. But this stuff from JJ's is £3.99 a tin. I've used it before. In fact, this is what's already on the bike because I built this way back. So I bought up their entire stock of matte black, every tin they had, because I'm going to use it all, and at £3.99 a tin, it's brilliant. Slightly gutted because it used to be £2.50 a tin way back, and I just used to buy them in boxes of 12, which is brilliant, but there we go. Wet and dry, they do 10 sheets of wet and dry for £1, which is brilliant. So that's really just for stock, because I've always got lots of it. Just keep lots of rubbing down paper, you can never have too much, and as it's only £1, just grab it while it's there. Cable ties. Obviously I'm going to run the wiring very shortly on the back end, and in the same shop they just sell 10 of these for £1, so only 10 pence each. I'm definitely going to need them. There are some proper clips which the wiring loom came with, and I shall use those, but I'm going to need a few extras. And the final thing was just some electrical bits and pieces, little electrical terminal connectors, that sort of thing, and some insulting tape, obviously for winding it all up afterwards. So shopping spree done, then started looking at other things that we need. One of the things I want to do is from the back end, from the remnants of the old Suzuki back end, I've managed to salvage the back light. Now obviously there have been people who've said different backlights to suggest, and the one thing I just thought, obviously whether or not it's that way, which is what it's meant to be, or whether it's that way, which is very much where the tailpiece can come down. If I'm going to go for the calf racer look, then that will give a great way to flush the light in and bring the tailpiece in around it. I don't know, not sure. It may still go that way and I'll make a more of a sports bike tail, don't know. But the principle is, why not use this? The reason I think that using this is sensible is going to the, that's the rear wiring, which I've just pulled forward out the way. I've then got the bayonet, the standard factory bayonet, which can just click into place. That's it, job done. So there's no messing around rewiring bad cheap aftermarket lights. I've already got it. Use what you have. This is about saving as much money as I can and not using extra money. And that backlight, if you had to buy it from Suzuki, you just know it'd be an arm and a leg. So I'm going to keep that, and that may well get used, it may not. Now the next thing was materials. Obviously I've been talking a lot about, I'm just going to paint this in a minute. Today's exercise is about blocking out this, giving it a last coat, and then getting some proper matte into it so it actually matches the rest of the bike. And then, because what I don't want to have to do is to paint it matte black once the plastic panels are in. Once the under tray's in, I don't want to then go blasting paint over it a second time. So it's got to be finished painting before I move on to the next stage. So that's what today is. But just want to show you this. Now, for this tail panel, I'll kind of describe a bit. I do intend to make a frame, a little tiny thin 3/16 steel rods, and make a little delicate frame of the exact tail piece, exposing this trellis section, covering up the ugly bit at the back, and making the tail up, down or whatever, covering it round. So it's absolutely fitted. Now, the idea was to use a 3/16 rod, a 1/4 inch rod that I can bend to shape, tack weld into shape, and then put a fiberglass skin over the whole thing. So I needed some rod. Now we looked on eBay and just at steel stock holders, and this is what I was saying just now, steel stock holders are colossally expensive. They really are. We were finding that it was, just remind me, Pen, it was a 2 foot length, 600mm, came to £2.97 posted
Each.
if you had 3. So you had 3 pieces, about £8 it came to for 3 lengths, 2 foot long, of 3/16 steel rod, which to me is just ridiculous. It works out nearly £3 a piece for a 2 foot length. So I started working out, and I had a little look today when we were shopping, and what I found is this. Now we found this. This is ideal, because what this gives me is, this is exactly 2 feet long. Each piece of that, you got it? Good.
Yep. Show me what it is.
It's 70s disco there. So it's exactly 2 feet long. Each length is 2 foot long. And when you take the plastic, because it's got this is a clothesline, you know what this is, you've seen these, you put them in your bath and you put all your clothes on them to dry off. And we got it in a charity shop when we were in town. If we take the plastic coating off, which is already, because it's an old second-hand one, the plastic coating's already in a bit of a bad way. Look, underneath there, look, that is 1/4 inch, I think. Yeah, that's a little bit thicker. That's probably 6mm. That I think is 3/16 rather. So that's a bit thicker. The sides are thicker than the crossbars as far as I can work out, but only by a fraction. Now this plastic coating, as you can see, it just comes off. You can just get rid of it. And it's only like flex. That's the stuff that goes over the electric flex. And it is gone brittle and hard. Now underneath there, the great thing is, which I already checked, is it's steel. Which means, if it's magnetic, that means it's steel, which means I can weld it. I thought they might have made it out of stainless, but there you go. That is it. So 1, 2, 3 lengths. That would have meant that 3 lengths, which is those 3 bits there, from a stock holder would have cost just under £9, roughly £3 a length. And I've got 6, 12. What do we got? 3, 6, 9, 12 lengths.
12.
So 12 lengths. Did some maths, didn't we? Worked it out. They're 2 foot long. The uprights are 4 feet long, and I've got 6 uprights. So I've got 6 4 feet pieces and 12 2 foot pieces. I did the sums on that on eBay on the stock holder, and it came to, what was it, man?
£67.
£67. 67, just under £70 it would have cost for that much steel to make the frame from. And that cost, tell them, Pen? £7 from a charity shop. And to be honest, that was dear, because it was the Sue Ryder charity shop, which is one of the most expensive. But hey, £7, I really didn't complain for very long. I just clutched it up and ran. That was brilliant. So all I've got to do with this, when I get to it in a minute, in the next video probably, I'm just going to cut this up and then strip all the plastic off it and turn it into ready, usable materials, ready for the tail. But that is an amazing piece of salvage, and I'm very proud of that. The other thing as well is, while we were at the dump the other day,
She was horrified. We said we were going to
yeah, it was quite funny. The lady at the charity shop, she said, "Oh, you can use that." I said, "Yeah, I'm going to cut it up with a disc." She wasn't happy. We also found these at the dump. We took some old rubbish at the tip, and this is great. This is 3mm steel rod. It's all steel. I magnet tested all of it. And these, you just cut them, literally just crop them with bolt crops, and you'll get these. And then I've got some nice lengths of wire there. There's 5 lengths, at least 2.5 foot long, plus the uprights, and some tubes which will go into stock when I'm not using them. And this, I've got some ideas. This is more of it. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 16 lengths, 2 feet long of this wire. And this wire, again, the cost of this stuff, if you go buying this 316, this is 3 mil, wherever that comes out, I can't remember the conversion, but that's 3 mil wire, mild steel, and that will all take part in the job. And again, if you buy that, you're going to be paying about £35 for that many pieces, which is just ridiculous. I got this for free, picked up at the dump. So there, some materials for the job, scored for practically nothing, £7 for the whole lot, job done. But before we do anything else, today's little bit of fun and games is I'm going to crack on with getting a proper coat of matte black over this. There we go. Right, a bit of 240 grit. Just going to scuff it up slightly, just very gently. Very gently, just letting the paper do the work. Take off a couple of little runs, use the opportunity to block those out. Especially this side, because I think obviously the bike will lean that way on its side stand. So you'll see this side of it more than that side. Just going to scuff off this hideous satin finish. This looks horrible. Looks like that Harley Davidson denim.
Wash your mouth out.
You know what I mean.
I'm joking.
I'm not worthy of such wonders on this old pile. Let's go that way. Right, having taken out all the high spots, just going over it with a Scotch pad just to get all the smooth bits out completely, break all that shine, that satin shine, which I don't want, otherwise the paint won't grip it. End up with it flaking off, which is alright, but what I want really. Right, a little bit of etch primer. I've just gone a couple of tiny spots, just gone through. Just literally a little tiny couple of spots, nothing much. And that's fine, it'll just be alright. That's it. That's it. By the way, if you use aerosols, whether you use aerosols or not, if you've never used them, and who hasn't, but aerosol cans work on the basis that there's about probably that much fluid in the can and that much is just empty. It's not empty, it's got high pressurized air, and that air pushes down on the fluid and the fluid gets pushed up in the tube. The tube that's connected to this goes down the bottom, and as the air on the top pushes down on the fluid, it forces it up the tube and out. So when you're finished with it, the paint that's in here can set and bung it up. So just as a little trick, as I've done there, turn the can upside down, and that then means that the fluid is at the bottom and the air is at the top, and you then press the valve, but the air pressure itself is in there, and all it's doing is pushing the last little bit of fluid that's in that tube all the way out and out. So if you just have a look on the sheet there, look, so if I'm spraying, there's paint coming out. If I go upside down, the only paint is what's in that tube, and the idea is to press it long enough to run that tube empty like this. There you are. So as soon as that blows dry and there's nothing coming out, you know that that tube all the way up and all the way there is empty. And when you next come to use it, just wipe that, blot the end of it as well. That will work straight away without being all bunged up. So there's a little tip there for you. There you go. Right, the mid-blick. This needs about 5 minutes because I've used this stuff loads of times. This is one of my favourite brands, Silver Hook, Universal, I don't know, could come from anywhere, probably China. But nevertheless, it is brilliant. It's great quality paint, seams to last, durable finish as the bike shows, and it's cheap. Okay, about a minute. Now, obviously this has just been more and more paint. and I don't want to keep going on and painting this thing. I do want to eventually move on. So this hopefully is going to be a nice matte black finish, proper matte black finish, and I can call it done. You never know. Stick around, stay tuned, y'all never knew. Always using a well ventilated area.
Oh yeah, got doors open.
Yeah, doors are open. Right, first coat. That's it, done. Right, gonna give that 15 minutes. And hopefully that one will dry matte. It's sick, you can't buy matte paint anymore. Right, join us in a minute. Right, I won't know how matte or satin this is going to turn out until it's dry, but it will certainly be better than the car shop stuff. I hope. In the end, the only real matte black I've ever found, the only true dusty, greyish, dry looking matte finish that I've ever come up with is blackboard paint. And you can get spray on blackboard paint, and it is an acrylic base which mixes with anything. So if all else fails and this doesn't matte out enough in the future, then I'll very simply just do, when the bike's finished, just add a coat of that over the top of all this, which will make it exactly where we want it. This really is boring, I'm sure. Even the staff are getting bored of it. But it's like all projects that, you know, it's very easy in the movie land. You know, OCC, American Hot Rod, just to see things done. But they don't work that way. If you've ever done a project, you know it doesn't. There are things you have to do 2 or 3 times, and sometimes that's really boring, really time consuming for no reason, but such is life. Right, so that's it. I am going to call that done now. If this gets any more paint on it, it'll be towards the end of the project when everything else is done. It would perhaps just get one solid coat. Other little things like fasteners, this time I'm going to change them for stainless fasteners, so there's a slight contrast, because it isn't just about rat and survival. This project is a little bit more about a street fighter with a rat flavour to it, so it's just a little bit different. It's just a case of making it slightly more interesting, but it's still going to work for its living in the winter in all the salt and the crap. So it really doesn't matter. Any changes such as the stainless fasteners are for a practical reason, because bolts rust and stainless bolts don't. That's matting out quite quickly as I'm looking at it. It's got about 12 coats of paint on it now, and it's been flattened in between, so that's exactly how I wanted it to end up, and it's as good as it needs to be for a rat bike that it is. So that's that. Now I can finish with that. I can move on, get the under tray in, which has been prepped a little bit, and then start cutting that up, and as I said before, run the wire in and start getting this back end completely ready for the putting over and building of the final tail panel, which will be the back end hopefully completed in the end. Don't know when. Keep asking when's it going to be done. I have no idea. It's a common project question that you get. Everybody who has projects, everybody who builds cars, bikes, hot rods or whatever gets the constant question, when's it going to be done? Can't wait to see it finished. It's just a natural thing, I guess, to be watching a project series and to want to see it progress to the end. What I've always said is, if that's the case, don't watch them, store them up, and in a year's time come back to them, if you can wait that long and watch them all end to end. But personally, I like to watch things as they develop, because this is going to go in all kinds of directions. So that's it. Thanks for tuning in to Delboy's Garage. A bit boring, a nice bit more paintage, but that's done now, and I can move on. The next job will be prepping the steel, because that doesn't involve the bike. I just want to get it prepared, ready for use. Okay, thanks for watching. Ride safe. See you next time.